If there was ever going to be a movie based around the true events of what the Dahomey tribe did, it would be a fucking horror movie.
Hey beautiful people, how you're doing today? It's your girl Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. So today's video we want to talk about this movie, The Woman King. If you don't know what this movie is, then probably you're living under the rock. Anyway guys, this movie has caused a lot of conversation, and this movie is based on true events, inspired by true event of the Dahomey people of West Africa. And like I said, it has caused a lot of conversation to be had about slave trading and all that. A lot of people have been giving their opinion, and this white TikToker choose to come give his opinion about this movie, to talk about the movie, the Dahomey people, the West Africa culture, slavery and all that, and colonization. And this, what he said was really interesting, like a white man telling us about our history in Africa. Guys, I need you guys to hear what he has to say, and then we'll talk.
Let's talk about this upcoming bullshit rewrite of history. If you didn't know, this is Viola Davis's new movie, The Woman King. They say her reign begins like it's going to be all fucking epic for her. And it says it's based on true events. No, it is not. Because in the movie, she is a leader of the Dahomey tribe. And if there was ever going to be a movie based around the true events of what the Dahomey tribe did, it would be a fucking horror movie. The Dahomey tribe can very likely be counted as some of the worst people ever in history. Like, they were fucking terrible in every way. In fact, one of the things they're most famous for, refusing to give up slavery long after the rest of the world had moved on. Or maybe the fact they were cannibals. I don't know, you tell me which of those two is worse. But after the British and the rest of the civilized world stopped using slaves, they didn't give it up. They would get seriously fucked up on drugs and go raid local villages and steal people as slaves. Oh, and black people in America? There's a 1 in 5 chance that your ancestors were sold to the US by these motherfuckers. They're responsible for more than 20% of all the slaves sold to the New World. Oh, and it didn't just stop at slavery and cannibalism. See, every family from every tribe that Dahomey had conquered had to send them one daughter. Now, the bigger, uglier ones were used as warriors. But the pretty ones? Yeah, the king used them as whores. And I know the movie's gonna try to portray these people as great warriors and shit, but they definitely were not. They were actually some of the worst warriors on the planet. They lost, like, every battle they ever fought that wasn't against primitive tribes. And no, it wasn't because they had, like, old-ass weaponry. They had handheld guns, they had machine guns. They had every piece of technology that the armies they fought had as well. They just didn't train how to use any of them and lost every fucking battle. And in fact, the true events of history was that the French went to war with them to stop them from using slaves. And their king declared, I would rather fight 100 years than give up my slaves. But since they suck so bad at war, it didn't take very long for them to lose. Like, if you look at the war between the French and the Dahomey lost like 100 fighters for every 5 or 6 that the French lost. But yeah, I can guarantee you that the real fucking history of this tribe is not going to be told in this movie. Because the real history is the Dahomey were awful people. They were an awful tribe led by an awful man and an awful woman. They didn't train their soldiers. They just marched them forward to their death. Prolific slavers in history, and the civilized world had to fight them to get them to stop enslaving other black people. So if this is going to be actually based on true events, I expect Viola Davis to be portrayed like Hitler. But they won't. They'll portray her as an amazing woman, training women to fight hard. And what were they fighting hard for? The right to enslave, torture, and rape their fellow Africans. Rewrite history much?
So that is what he said, okay? And this got a lot of people talking and a lot of people responding to him. Guys, before I get into that, go ahead and share your thought about what he said. What do you think about what he said? And what do you feel about him saying what he said? Coming from a white man, what do you think? Share your thought down in the comment section. So this has gotten a lot of people, especially the black community on TikTok, to like talk about it. And they all have interesting things to say. I'm going to let you guys hear some of the things they have to say, and then I'm going to come to talk about it.
Let's talk about this upcoming bullshit rewrite of history. If you didn't know, this is Viola Davis's new...
Have you seen the movie? Like, have you actually gone to see The Woman King? Because if you went, They literally said everything you just said. Like, they literally had it where they showed you that they sold them. They literally had it where they showed you the village in which white people and Africans were gathering up other Africans and selling them, and the white people were paying the other Africans to help capture them. Like, did you watch the movie? We know our black people ain't peaches, roses, and cream, sweet cheeks, but we're definitely better than you. Your ancestors in the United States were literally killing black people, proceeding to gut them out, skin their bodies, eat their intestines, and wear their skin as clothes and or furniture. But you want to talk about the Dahabi tribe? Please shut the fuck up. Just shut up.
Talk about this upcoming bullshit rewrite of history. If you didn't know, this is Viola Davis's new.
Okay, I want to start with the whole historical inaccuracy, because every Hollywood movie on any historic white figure is always inaccurate. And I think a good example would be Churchill. Churchill is portrayed as this amazing man who was great, who was loving. The man was insane. The man was barbaric. He was a monster. Go look at what the Bengal famine. And that will tell you everything. And also, America is the same nation that celebrates serial killers. You have Ted Bundy fans. You have Jeffrey Dahmer fans. And these are literal girls that were writing letters to him and stuff. Like, how? And also, this thing about cannibalism and barbaric, America has such a bad history. Look, America, how it started. You wiped off the Indians. And the worst thing was, you didn't just wipe them, you manipulated them and then killed them. You gave them a disease. And then what you did to the slaves when you went over to Africa and bought the slaves. Okay, slavery was always a thing back then, by the way. And like, people would buy slaves. Europeans went to Africa, they bought some slaves. But when they took them back to America, what they did to them is beyond. There's a book called 1,000 Years of Lynching, and it shows how slaves were killed, how they were like tortured. And there was one method where they hanged a pregnant woman by a tree, cut into her stomach, pulled the unborn baby out just to scare the other slaves into doing work. There were mass farms in America during slavery that were black slave women tied up and forced to be impregnated by the slave men, just so they can keep giving birth to keep producing more slaves. And the little babies were used as alligator bait. So let's not talk about how barbaric history is and stuff. And also, this was one of the tribes that when they found out how the Europeans were treating the slaves that they sold, they went to go fight and get those slaves back. And also, you talk about how this tribe carried on with slavery. Yeah, Britain and America never just gave up slavery because they were righteous people. Black people had to fight for that. And Britain paid slave owners. Up until 2015, the entire UK had to, literally paid off slave owners. And David Cameron's family profited off slave ownership. So we talk about all this history and stuff. Your history is so much darker. Britain and America's history is the darkest in the world. Look at the amount of army bases around the world by the US. Go look at what happened in the Vietnam War. That you had no right to be in that country. Okay, so there's just so much historical inaccuracy from your end. There's just so much manipulation and darkness that I just don't get how whenever black people are breaking barriers, they have a movie that's celebrating them, you'll just find a reason why. Okay, and when you find the truth, it hurts and scares you. Go read about what Britain did in South Asia. The rape and murder of innocent women and children. It's just one of those things that you guys can't comprehend, but we know the truth. Okay, you feel like you're running, now you know how we feel.
So that's what they all have to say. For me, it's really interesting. And I'm so happy that a lot of way black people are really knowing our history now. We're not going by what the white man said. It's the audacity for me for this white man to be talking about black culture, African tribe. For me, it's the audacity for him to think that he can review and then speak on it. Then, before I even continue, I want to say that I have not seen this movie yet, so I can't really talk about the movie, but actually what he said and what he said about the people and the Africa culture. Okay, so I've not seen this movie. So let me know down in the comment section if you have seen this movie. Share your thoughts on it. What do you think about the movie? Do you think it was a good movie? So secondly, I want to say that when it comes to Hollywood, they always know how to water down an event, and they did not say this is a documentary. They said inspired by, so they can actually tell the story whatever way. For me, that's what Hollywood does. For me, when it comes to movie like this, that's why I personally am a documentary guy. I rather watch documentary where people are telling the facts of things rather than just fictional and to make like entertainment personally. So when it comes to a movie, I don't really bother. Like I don't take them literally serious, except Jeffrey Dahmer's one. Okay. If you guys want me to do a video on that, let me know down in the comment section. So I really don't take movies except it's documentary that serious. So anyway, guys, that's about it for this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces.